we're filming.
Alright, so we'll talk about the landing gear system. So the landing gear system is a retraction extension system that it's electro-hydraulic system. So it's both powered electrically and it's a hydraulic system as well. So it's pretty much, so it's the type of power that has a reversible pump. So we can look right here, has a reversible pump right here. So the fan's turning this way, we have suction, we have discharge out this way. So it's sending oil into our landing gear system. When we put it down, it goes the other way, so the fan turns the other way, we have suction, we have discharge out of that way. So you can see right here, this is what it looks like in the cockpit. So we have our lever, so you have to pull it out, push down, same thing when we go up. Here's our 3 lights. So each light will turn green when each of the landing gear's parts is locked and in place right there. And there's our little test switch right there. I think delays sometimes. So on the gear, there's a set of micro switches. Show in a second. So what the micro switches are doing is it's a way to tell the system that each leg, each wheel is down, locked in place. These are squat switches, but we don't have those on the.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like there are not squat switches. Here's the squat switch.
I know. I was like, why is that picture even on there?
I think that you can actually get an add-on squat switch if you pay extra for it, but the Technum doesn't have them stock.
Yeah, so micro switches is operate in conjunction with the gear lever in order to indicate whether the landing gear is down and locked, in transit, or up. So once it's down and locked, the little light will turn green, and everything will be in place there.
One thing that Derek did, which is good, is you can actually trace a little yellow cable to the micro switches that indicate the green lights.
Oh, really?
If you climb down underneath and get all dirty and kind of just follow the electric cable to where it terminates in a switch, and you can actually put your finger on it and see it, touch it, you know what I mean? Just like get down there and check it out on your pre-flight.
Yeah. So landing gear system, it has 2 modes. So the normal provides gear extension and retraction by means of hydraulic jacks. We'll talk about those in a second. Gear extension is also helped by gravity. Emergency system, so only provides landing gear extension by means of hydraulic accumulator, which we'll talk about in a second, which discharges pressurized oil in the above hydraulic jacks. So here's the accumulator. So you have nitrogen gas. Usually we use nitrogen gas because it's usually cheaper and stuff like that. So accumulator is a cylinder that's filled with a gas, usually nitrogen, that holds a certain PSI. So you have your gas right here. Pressure that discharges either when it senses the system is low, on command with the lever, or in conjunction with the emergency gear system. So what it's going to be doing is pushing this nitrogen gas. It's going to be pushing this hydraulic fluid right here, and then it's going to be sending it into your landing gear system, retracting your gear in case of emergency.
So in the emergency, you don't have the ability to just use the normal power pack to raise and lower it with the impeller. You just have a compressed charge of nitrogen. And I don't think it's a one-shot deal. I think that you can use it a couple of times, but if it doesn't work the first time, that's not great. But anyways, underneath the seats, you flip the one, then you flip the other and blast your the compressed nitrogen, shooting the oil through the lines.
Because you have the one lever that's going to be charging all of the lines, right? And then you do the other lever, and then it only sends it to the down position line, right?
Yeah.
So when we're checking the pressure of the accumulator, so we're going to be doing our pre-flight around the plane. You'll be right behind the pilot side of the fuselage. There's a little gauge on the side, which is the pressure. So what we want to look for is it has to be a minimum of 20 bar pressure. Anything above that's great. So emergency hydraulic accumulator nitrogen pressure indicates is located on the tail cone left side on ground. A red push button located beneath the pressure indicator allows electrical pump for charging the accumulator should be should the nitrogen pressure be below the pressure there.
And you know what? Sadly, that's a lot of not right stuff. The POH talks about the red button to push, allowing the electrical pump to charge the accumulator. The only way to get that nitrogen pressure above 20 is to get maintenance to come out with a nitrogen bottle and push it. Oh, we've already had this conversation, huh?
No, I don't think so.
So the way that reads and the way that the POH reads makes it seem like you walk around and you're like, oh, 20 bar or 18 bar. I better push my little red button here and get that thing up and over 20. I mean, if you just look at how it's written there, a red push button located beneath the pressure indicator allows the electrical pump for charging the accumulator should the nitrogen pressure be below the placarded pressure. So you're like doo-doo-doo in the middle of nowhere, just like repressurizing your accumulator. And maintenance is like, no, that's not how you get pressure in your accumulator. You've got to bring the nitrogen bottle over, hook the thing up, get your pressure up and over 20, and walk away with your nitrogen bottle. So why the POH says that is a mystery. Of course, it's written by people with 10 trillion hours more than me, so I'm sure that they know what they're talking about. Or maybe not. Maybe it's an error.
Where was the plane from? Back east or
yeah. But trust me, by people that have been to 10 more colleges and engineer PhDs than I have. But still, it's just like, no, that's not really. The only way that could be the case is if it did allow, if you hit that red button and somehow that just like added, somehow the impeller just like pushed some hydraulic fluid into the accumulator, so you're not filling it up and over 20 bar of nitrogen, but you are like pressurizing it with more hydraulic fluid, so that you've got a reserve to blast your gear down.
Yeah. So a hydraulic system, so hydraulic oil is contained in the indicated reservoir located inside the hydraulic power pack. So what the hydraulic power pack is, it has your reversible pump in there, has your reservoir of hydraulic fluid. So it's a standalone device that holds the hydraulic fluid and regulates the amount of pressure in the system. The system is pressurized by a reversible pump, like we talked about earlier. The pump then directs fluid through the proper channels to the hydraulic jacks. And we'll show the diagram in a second here. I don't know why it delays so much.
I like it. It gives us a chance to process what you just said.
All right. So here's the schematic of the landing gear system here. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see it. So here's your hydraulic jacks. So like right here, right here, right here.
So nose and mains.
So your nose and mains here. So what it's doing is, let's see. So I guess this is a better one.
Yeah, so there's an
So here's the
retraction schematic.
So it's going up. So your hydraulic jacks is going to be going in inside these cylinders right here. So that's going to be forcing oil to push the piston this way, causing the hydraulic jacks to go in, retracting your gear up into your airplane here.
And shown on here, we've got the main power pack. Yeah, the pump. Which guy is the pump here?
Pressure relief valve.
You can trace these back to here. So we've got the up and the down. So in this schematic, so you've got some, well, it looks like the electrical symbols here on the left, maybe some more electrical symbols here on the right, and stop me if that's wrong. But I think they've, this would be the impeller here in the middle, shooting it this way, and then like if you click to the next slide, then we've got all the lines on the what's the opposite of retraction? Extension. Just thinking of the term for that. We just say raising it up or down. So then on the extension, this would be represented by that big this is representing that big yellow bottle. Is it yellow or black? I think it's black actually in the back of the baggage compartment or the battery compartment. So then this is spinning the other way and pressurizing these lines. So that it's going.
Actually goes that way, huh?
Yeah, and so then we can see. Do you mind going back a slide? So on this one, we're shooting the fluid here, driving it down.
So it looks like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yep. So whereas we're extending the gear, so it's pushing oil this way, causing the jacks to go up into the cylinder, extending your landing gear. Here's the emergency operation. So we have our accumulator right here, our nitrogen gas, our hydraulic fluid right here. So when we push one of the levers, here's your emergency panel here. So we do one of the levers, it's going to be charging all of these lines. So the up and the down, all these lines right here. And then when we push this other lever, it's going to be charging, or it's going to be sending all that pressure in the down position for each hydraulic jack right here. So it's going to be sending fluid into here, right? Let's see.
Yeah, whichever one of the extensions.
Yep, so it's going to be sending fluid here, pushing these hydraulic jacks in, extending our landing gear right there.
Got it. You know what's funny about that is one of the things that could fail in my mind is, say, the power's out or something, and so you can't activate this. And so when you turn this first one, I think it's 90 degrees on the first one, 180 degrees on the second one. Say this guy's out of commission, that pressure to pressurize everything's got to come from somewhere. And so in my mind, I'm thinking that first 90-degree rotation, it's got to get the pressure from this main accumulator, boom, pressurizing the lines. Then secondly, when you turn the 180 degrees, boom, more comes out of this guy. Because if that was out, or I think if you've got a full electrical failure, it says be prepared to drop your gear with the emergency extenders, meaning you don't have the black bottle in the back anymore. You've only got the yellow. So how this one pressurizes the whole system, still going to have to go on part 2 for me. Maybe go interview a mechanic or something. Do you have any insight on that? Have you learned how what the mechanism is that pressurizes the lines in the first?
Not a whole lot. No.
Yeah, and I was like, where's it getting that?
Yeah.
That initial blast from? Anyways.
Because you have nitrogen, all that pressure on there, you're going to be releasing that pressure on the accumulator and stuff.
Yeah, what is it, 20 bar?
It has to be at least 20 bar.
20 bar, so maybe you take the first 5 bar just to pressurize the lines or something, and then, or whatever, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
That's like for the advanced version of this, we could figure out exactly what is going on when you twist the first knob, and then exactly what's going on. Next time they're doing an annual on one, maybe we'll go down there and ask them exactly when they go to drain the system and recharge it and everything. Just be like, okay, let us film what you got going on here. Because then in the back there's also that overflow bottle that gets mentioned sometimes. It's like a little circular globe looking thing.
Yeah.
All right, that's awesome.
I think that's it. Let's see.
Thanks for letting me kind of compare notes and pick your brain.
We got some landing gear.
Okay.
So.
That's awesome. I'm just going to hit pause, stop here, and we'll just make this a landing gear video. Unless you got any more slides on the landing gear.
No.